All right, welcome to another edition of Storytime, where we read and tell stories from around the internet, from around the world. Today we have one from Seneca 13 off of Reddit's Nuclear Revenge. Who doesn't love a good revenge story? Let's see what happens. Karma generates interest over time. Story of the year, actually, from 2022. Wow, okay. In the third grade, I was an awkward kid, had a mean, drunk father, struggled to fit in and make friends, was bullied and shunned by other kids. One of my classmates, let's call him Derek, who regularly partook in bullying me, showed me kindness one day. Being deprived of kindness or attention so regularly, I was putty in his hands. He hanged out with me during recess when I was usually alone. We laughed and talked about girls we liked. He even apologized for being an asshole to me. The reason he was so nice to me was because I had brought a very popular, expensive Batman action figure to school with me to pass the time since I was alone mostly. I saved allowance and mowed lawns for 2 months to buy that toy. Everyone wanted one. By the end of the day, he asked me if he could lend the action figure, and like the naive, socially inept kid I was, I trusted him with it. The deal was to return it the following morning. I went home so happy, completely fooled, I'd never suspected a thing. The following day, he completely ignored me. When I tried to talk to him, he acted like I was crazy. When I asked him to return the action figure, he simply said, "You never gave me any Batman. Maybe you imagined it." And when I persisted, he threatened to beat my ass. When I complained to my teacher, I was told that it was my own fault for bringing toys to school. I was afraid they would involve my father, so I dropped it. I couldn't let my father know, or I'd be called a pussy or and have my ass beat and punished for the next 2 weeks. What's worse is Derek told all the girls that I confided to him about fancying, that I lusted after them, and that I want then I wanked to them. I was a social outcast before that, but at least I was tolerated. But after his smear campaign with the girls, I was a leper. People wouldn't even look me in the eyes, not even the teachers. Kids started throwing stones at me, sabotage and vandalizing my property. It was hell. I did nothing about it but cry. I was just a weak-willed kid after all, but to this day, I wish I'd bit someone's ear off or something, anything in retaliation. After a while, the bullying died down. I focused on my studies and started getting good grades. Derek started talking to me again, but I ignored him completely. Sometimes he would repeat, "Why are you being such a baby? You didn't give me anything. You imagined it." By the end of the year, we moved houses and I transferred to another school not far away. Things were much better there. I finally had friends and I was not as naive anymore, so I was not easily targeted. But I was still mostly me and still got picked on now and then. Over the years, I became somewhat of a delinquent, and in high school, I got into regular fights. I may have been overcompensating for the lack of a spine I had in my younger years. I bartended in nightclubs, hotels, and cruise liners in my early 20s. This helped me a lot to be more socially adept and to understand social dynamics and human nature. I finished trade school and qualified as an electrician. Good job, buddy. And later as a plumber. Damn, double. Nice. I know water and electricity, but believe it or not, I thought it was ingenious at the time. I started my own business, developed a reputation for excellent workmanship in my local area, and did well for myself. When I was 29, I'm 36 now, I received a call at 2 in the morning for a flooding emergency at a local residence. When I got there, the place was a mess. Water was jetting out of a burst pipe and electrical equipment was shorted. It was highly dangerous. The living room floor was caved in due to a sinkhole. I met I was met by the wife, let's call her Jane, hysterical and beside herself. She somehow thought that she was responsible, which I found odd. I assured her that it couldn't possibly be her fault. He arrived not 5 minutes later. His demeanor was irate. He didn't greet or shake my hand when I offered. I recognized him immediately. Derek from all those years ago. He demanded to know why I have not begun fixing the issue yet. I was professional, told him that his I told his wife in terms of cost, but I hid the written quote in my vehicle. I told him who I was and acted happy to see him, assured him that he was in good hands. After a while of arguing with his wife, he seemed to calm down and joked around with me. I knew I had him fooled. We talked about our careers, kids, our school days. I gave him tips and fake recommendations. We got along great. His trust was easy to gain. He must have thought of me as a complete sucker. I assured him that he was in good hands and that this would be fixed in no time. I was careful not to start any actual work on the property. Doing the smallest thing would make me responsible for all of it. Derek left after an hour or so, and his wife stayed behind. I started my revenge. When I was doing my assessment, I noticed that most of the building did not comply with city regulation and did not adhere to the registered and approved plans. There were multiple safety hazards, and all plumbing and electrical work were completed by unqualified and uncertified people in an attempt to save money. Also, the pipe in question had been leaking for a few weeks at least, getting worse by the day and finally causing disaster, which means their water bill would be astronomical at the end of the month unless a qualified plumber endorses a rebate with the municipality. I called my contact in the city, let's call him Donovan, and notified him of all the regulatory violations, safety hazards, and non-city compliant installations on the property. I also told him of the possible water bill. He promised to be there the next day. I immediately started photographing and documenting. The following morning, my contact was there at 10. He had a field day. He informed Derek's wife of the calamity that was to come. They would be forced to tear down all the building additions, remove all the uncertified plumbing and wiring installations, have the plans reapproved, and start from scratch, which he estimated with which is an estimated loss of approximately 950,000. Derek was there in minutes. He was livid. He quickly threatened legal action, but Donovan simply told him that he had more than enough photographed evidence to have the property declared invalid within a week if Derek did not comply in writing. Donovan reminded Derek that he does this for a living and that the city has more legal resources to waste money on. I left Derek an invoice for my time just to smear salt in the wound and took my leave. Later he called me every name under the sun. I remained silent and hung up. I remained silent and he hung up. He went on a Facebook rant about me, which is a bad idea. All of the community stood up for me and started storytelling competition where all kinds of people reveal stories of unsavory things Derek did to them in the past. Apparently Derek has always been an asshole. He never changed. One day he called me and asked to meet. He sounded defeated and depressed, so I decided to meet and see what's up. I met him at a local busy convenience store. I know better than to take Derek the Weasel at face value, so I noticed quickly that he had laid his phone screen down on the table. I knew he may be recording the conversation. He apologized for his behavior, which surprised me, and told me that this whole dilemma had all but bankrupted him. He told me that he took out a loan for the building additions and cut corners to save money. That everyone does it. He showed me the water bill, which was nearly 80,000. A problem easily erased with a qualified plumber's signature and endorsement. I refused. He got irate again, obviously. Then he asked me, "Why did you do this to me? I know I was a dick to you when we were kids, but I don't deserve to have my and my wife's lives ruined because of mistakes I made when I was a kid. What was the what kind of person are you? You told me I was in good hands. I trusted you. You assured me you would help me. Then you stabbed me in the back. You quoted me only a few hundred and told me not to worry." I replied, "I said no such thing. Derek, stop lying. You told me it would cost a few hundred, maybe less. I heard you say it. You promised to help me, gave me recommendations. Why are you doing this to me?" "Derek, you must have imagined it." I looked him in the eye. He knew exactly why I said that. The same thing he told me almost 20 years ago. I repeated it just to drive it home. "You're being a baby. I never quoted you for anything. You imagined it." He knew I was destroying him financially because of a Batman action figure he stole from me 20 years ago. I could see it in his eyes, but he couldn't bring himself to say it. His expression was a mixture of astonishment and disgust. I looked him dead in the eyes for a few seconds for the effect, then got up and left. I slept like a baby that night and had a goofy smile all week all week after. He tried calling me a few times, but I sent him a text saying that the further harassment will be met with legal action. Derek, you know what your real name is and what mine is. If in future you read this and realize how I screwed you over, remember how costly that little Batman action figure was to you after years of accumulated interest in karma. The look of despair on your face when you realize why you are ruined was delicious. I cackled maniacally on the drive home from that convenience store. It was time for you to pay the piper. And you think this will help you legally? If you think this will help you legally, go ahead and try it. I won't. It won't. So don't waste your time. Or rather do. Waste as much time and money if I welcome being even more of a financial inconvenience to your life. Fuck you, Derek. Edit. If the monetary amounts confuse you, I don't live in the USA. Divide the amounts by 8 and you have a rough estimate of the exchange rate. And then there's a bunch of fuck you, Derek's in the comments. All my homies hate Derek, right? Wow. Well, there's your story for the day. It's a revenge story from Seneca 13 under nuclear revenge. Karma generates interest over time. Would you be able to go through with it? Would you care 20 years later? For me, man, I can't say I wouldn't do it. Like those are formidable years when you're that young, and some of the stuff you never forget. So it is what it is. Derek, you fucked yourself, Derek. I don't want to tell you. A Batman action figure cost you several $1,000s. It is what it is. Well, thank you for joining in to E's Story Time.